You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel. And now it's time to hear the selection of interviews I did when I was out and about at number 34 Sittingbourne High Street. Ideas test for the locker conversation. I thought I'd catch up with some of the performers involved to talk about this particular performance and also next month's performance as well. I firstly asked them to introduce themselves to us.
My name's Cathy Robinson and I am the soprano for the Locker Ensemble.
I'm Christopher Lombertu and I'm in Hand of Stabs.
And Kevin Young, also in Hand of Stabs.
So just to start off, you've actually taken part in some of the performances this evening. How did that go?
Yeah, it was really, really interesting actually to hear. I mean, it's quite a big ensemble for us. Normally we're, like you saw with Tanya and the percussionist, we're normally sort of duetting or trio, so it was really, really nice actually. It was really lovely to collaborate with Gavin, of course, from Arkelia, who really, really sort of took it upon himself to come and collaborate with what we do and sort of get involved. So it was really nice to have that sort of mutual thing going on where we sort of both sort of appreciated and dipped into each other's stuff. Yeah, and generally I just think it was a wonderful evening and everyone seemed to be really asking questions, which is what it's all about, because we don't want those barriers to be there. We really, really want people to be able to just ask the questions and not to worry about necessarily whether they're going to really love the music or not, but what their sort of connection with it is, rather than whether it was nice or whether it was pleasant to hear, really how it connected with them and how they felt about it. So I think we got that actually tonight, which was great.
So how did you come to involve with the Locker Conversations?
Well, I've been part of the David Jones Locker Ensemble since it began. So it started quite a few years ago actually. Tanya put together the project when we were going into people's living rooms and really introducing people to classical contemporary work, and again encouraging that conversation from them. And then from there it's sort of just grown and grown and grown really, and we were going around the different regions, and then Ideas Test said this would be a wonderful idea for Sittingbourne for us to come and do this, and really again just to get people involved and break that wall between performer and audience.
So, but you didn't think it would develop into this when it started, perhaps?
No, I mean, really, it's taken off more than we could imagine, really, because it started off with 1 week in Medway, and we were going around to about 2 homes a night for a week, which was pretty exhausting. And from there, it's just grown. And then we had a series in Canterbury and Thanet, and then Swale, and it's just really kind of taken off. And we collaborated with the Beanie in Canterbury, and we did a wonderful project there, surrounded by all the wonderful artwork. So yeah, it's strange how it's taken off and how it's gone into different directions, which is, exactly what we want it to do, and hopefully it will carry on doing that.
So this is the second of 3 you're doing here, and the guys I'm joined with are going to be performing, I think, next month. I understand.
That's it, exactly, yeah. So the next one's the 27th of October, and we're very, very lucky to have Hand of Stabs with us, who I'm sure will tell you a little bit more about what they do.
Yeah, that would be really good if you could both do that.
Okay, well, in a lot of ways it's kind of connected with what Cathy's been saying about breaking down barriers. We sort of gone a little bit further with that, in that we're not classically trained musicians, or if you like, trained musicians at all, but we found we had an interest in contemporary classical music and in avant-garde rock music and in electronic music and a number of different things that we felt we weren't necessarily bound to be excluded from. That was our sort of starting point, where we kind of decided there's no real reason why we can't do it. It's sort of forms of music where don't know, for one reason or another, or from various structural or political or aesthetic reasons, people kind of unlearn music and try and make music that doesn't sound necessarily like it's come off a page. And so we felt we could sort of jump in there and we could be the unlearned musicians that some musicians seem to have a desire to be, and we could find some sort of fulfilling music that we could make down that road. And that's pretty much, I think, what we've tried to do. And we've been doing it now for several years, and it wasn't clear whether it would work initially, but I'm astounded by the stuff we've come up with and people we've been able to work with, just starting from that basis.
So did you expect to work in this sort of scenario?
We really didn't know. I mean, we actually started off pretty much... well, one thing we did was to go into woods and to go into non-performance spaces, go just find places for ourselves, just as three individuals, just to make some sounds. And then we sort of decided to suggest that other people could come and listen to those sounds, and a big part of what we started doing was basing the sounds on our response to a place. So we would go to strange places, bit of dark woods, or basements of buildings. We found a lot of odd places to play, and sort of tried to just kind of channel something of the place into the sounds. And we figured we could do that as well as a classical musician, perhaps. We probably couldn't do it the same way twice, but as it was totally improvised music, that didn't seem to matter.
Was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, not particularly. I think that sort of covers it. I mean, I have no musical background at all, and it's been incredibly liberating to be able to sort of come into performing music, and I'm not sure we always would call it music either. I mean, it's sort of, when people describe me as a musician, I sort of balk at that because I'm clearly not. But it's fantastically liberating to be able to be involved in making something as occasionally profound as it sometimes emerges, without having to be learned in that sort of in that craft.
I think undoubtedly it is music. It's sort of music is a thing, I think, that sort of exists or can exist, and although musicians are people who make music in our sort of society, we can still, other people can make music without, if you like, the proper qualifications.
Yeah.
So that's where we come from. And in recent times we've started doing a couple of projects which we're trying to encourage everybody, because everybody who listens to music, or even people who are deaf, people who can feel music, anyone can sort of have some input because they enjoy the output, and that's our sort of concept. And so we're doing these things now. In Rochester we have a thing called Minimus, which is a sort of slight spin-off of what we've been doing with Hand of Stabs, where it's totally open environment, but it's not like an open mic night where people come along and sing a couple of songs they've been working on. It's like you don't know who you would be making sounds and music with until it happens, and then we just see what it is. And I'm quite pleased with the way that's been going as well. So,
Yeah.
at the risk of sounding rather pleased with myself, or ourselves,
No, I would agree completely. I mean, I've been very kind. The Hand and Stabs have been very kind, I should say, in allowing me to come along to the Minimus, and there's a real sense of inclusion with it, I have to say, and it is. I mean, what Chris said, it's completely liberating, and it is a different way of making that music, and it's a wonderful experience, and they're very kindly going to allow me to join in with them.
That's the point, though. So we're not allowing anyway. It's not up to us to allow anything. It's like, if you come along, you're part of it. It's not that you need to be allowed to do it. We're just trying to make, a space where people can come and do things, and we didn't know what to expect. We could be, you could have got, I don't know, could have ended up with terrifically noisy guitars or rap music, or local, singer-songwriter might have sort of attempted to railroad the whole thing. But what seems to happen is people just latch onto some sound that's happening, someone starts something and people join in, and it's just sort of a kind of organic kind of a thing. So, so anyone who would like to come along to that, you can find out about that. It's on Facebook, whatever it is, Facebook/Minimus, if you want to find out about that. And it's in Rochester towards the end of the month. And you don't have to feel like you're allowed. Everyone is allowed.
I think I mean on the 27th.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just the thing. It's that's just wanted to make that clear, that it's not it's not down to your skill, although it's very lovely to have skillful people come along. We have quite a lot of extremely talented people, and people who didn't know they were talented. And we've had klezmer fiddlers playing with 1-year-old children, a 1-year-old child playing a toy xylophone at the same time as various electronic boffins playing synths and laptops and goodness knows what else. But it's very unpredictable, and I think that's what makes it good.
So we are at the moment continuing to hear that selection of interviews that I did when I was out and about at Ideas Test number 34, Sittingbourne High Street. We're talking all about the locker conversation. So one thing I just quickly want to touch upon as well was there was a bit towards the end where people have been involved in making the piece of music, and then you had a go at playing that, and I think some of it started at the last one, some's happened now, and a bit more happened on the final one. But what is that like to try and play?
Well, it's really, really interesting what people come up with, actually. And for myself, I very conveniently have got away with just swinging around my sound picture. But it's always really interesting. I think all we do is we just give them the tools by which to create something. So we just give them symbols and different musical directions, or just simply some emotive suggestions, like we'll say, do you want it to be joyful, would you want it to be sad? So it isn't exclusive in any way. Anybody can contribute to creating or composing something, because there is no terminology, there's something there that everybody can access. But it's really interesting what they come up with, and 9 times out of 10, it seems to work, actually. And I think there's something about already having heard some classical contemporary music, that the ear is sort of ready to kind of hear that, no matter how it comes out, really. So, it's been really interesting. and funnily enough, very successful. So we'll just extend that next time and see what
I was going to say, it's quite amazing because you don't, although it's in a musical layout, I assume you don't actually have to know about music to contribute. So like you're saying, somebody might just write joy, and so then you can interpret, make that piece joyful or sad.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one bar could be joyful, and in the next bar somebody could have put sad, so you can just jump, and that is the whole point, is that's fine, that's okay, and it just allows everybody to have a go, which I think is wonderful.
So coming back to October, just refresh our listeners a little bit about that.
Yeah, so 27th of October, Thursday, the 27th, coming along, you'll hear Hand of Stabs. So they are an improvisational band or ensemble. They're incredibly visual, so they create their own instruments on some occasions. So they will do a set. We'll probably be able to have a conversation with them and ask them about what they do, what their kind of thinking behind things are, whether there is any. It's completely open for discussion and debate. So, come along, have a listen to them, and then we will do some more classical contemporary pieces, but with pauses, so people can have a really good conversation about the pieces, so that you don't have that sense of performance. That's it. You're sat there tied to your chair and you cannot comment and you can't escape. So you really have the opportunity to express how you feel about the piece, and if you want to know anything more about it or how it's put together or where it comes from. And that's the key thing about the Locker Conversations, is really the collaboration with the audience.
I was going to say, I've been lucky to come alongside, and actually there was more to it than even I thought. It actually was a really nice long evening covering lots of different aspects. So it was, not what you think, and I suppose it's all about getting people to hear stuff they wouldn't normally do.
Absolutely.
And, as an artist, sometimes the biggest barrier is getting people to come in the gallery to see the work. And I suppose that's what you want, people who wouldn't normally to come in and feel actually part of it, which you did.
Absolutely, yeah. And we want people to feel really, really comfortable. And not without any expectations, actually, and to not feel as though they have to be incredibly knowledgeable about any of the pieces, or they have to even, enjoy certain pieces. There might be some that they really don't, and that's fine. And it's about being comfortable and just bringing this style of music to the attention of people who, for whatever reason, maybe can't access it or don't know where to access it, and just giving them that sort of route into it, really. And the great thing is we never know what anyone's going to ask us. So each Locker event is completely unique, so there will never really be another one like this evening. It's always really different because it's very tailored to what the audience wants to know, which I think makes them quite special, actually.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you.
And once again, I must say a big thank you to Ideas Test and the organisers of the Locker Conversation for giving me the chance to go along to September's performance. Hopefully, by hearing what Kathy had to say, and also the members of Hand of Stabs, it gives you some sort of an idea of what takes place if you go along to these Locker Conversation performances. I must say I was very impressed, and it certainly wasn't what I initially thought, and it's certainly far more comfortable and relaxing when you go along to these performances than what you'd actually think as well. So it's certainly well worth going along to October's performance. All the information through the Ideas Test website.